Now then, welcome to another edition of Barnsley Biker Video Diaries. Today I'm going to do another of my bike review videos, if you like. Talk about one of my bikes, one that you've been following the channel, you might have seen before. Yeah, I'm going to talk about my SR500 Street Scrambler special that I did a sequence of videos showing you how I'd built the bike, what it looked like when I bought it and what I've done to it, etc. Towards the end of last year I did a video where we had a bit of an engine fail, where the spark plug decided to leave the engine basically. There'd been a faulty repair done on the cylinder head, and so yeah, that meant that we were going to have to take the engine to bits. I'll just insert the incident again for you so you can see what happened on the ride. So yeah, as you see, the spark plug decided to leave the engine, and it was basically a failed thread repair. The cylinder head had already had a thread repair done to it, and the repair that was in there was obviously hadn't been carried out correctly for whatever reason, and the whole insert had come loose, so the spark plug and insert left the engine, and the only way to repair that was to take the engine to bits. So I decided that over the winter there were various other things that I wanted to do to the engine. It had got a bit of a rattle on it, the clutch was sticking, so I wanted to investigate that. It had got a little bit of an oil leak. I wanted to try and find out where that was coming from. So the only way with the SR, anybody that knows the Yamaha singles, you can't take the cylinder head off with the engine in the frame. Getting the engine out of the frame is not a massive job. You can probably do it once you've stripped the bike down to get access to the engine. You can probably have an engine out in an hour. So I took the engine out, and we took the cylinder head off and took it to a local bike dealer that, if anything can be fixed, he can fix it. And a big thank you to Pete at RTT Motorcycles there at Hoyland Common. I mean, he's done a lot of work for me over the years and I can't praise him enough, but he's the guy that people take things to that everybody else has had a look at and gone, that can't be fixed, and he always finds a way of fixing it. Okay, so as I said, I took the cylinder head to Pete at RTT, and I'm going to include a few photos here that might explain slightly better. This is the cylinder head that had the thread repair done to it. I'll show you a couple of pictures. Pete, there was not enough meat left to do another repair on the thread that had been damaged. So what Pete did was take out the damaged thread, machine an alloy insert that would go into the cylinder head, which he then drilled and tapped to take a smaller diameter plug, as you can see in the photo, compared to the original. And there you can see. But while Pete was on with carrying out these repairs, I'd been looking to see if I could drop on a second-hand cylinder head in decent condition, just in case, because Pete wasn't sure he could fix this. So while Pete was in the process of sorting out this repair, I managed to get hold of a second-hand cylinder head through I think it was D&K. The cylinder head wasn't perfect, but it was in reasonably good enough condition to be used. It needed the valve seats recutting, to be fair. They were quite badly pitted with rust, etc. So I got Pete to do that for me as well. So now I've got a spare cylinder head if I have an issue, but as you'll see in the rest of the video, the second-hand cylinder head that I managed to pick up quite reasonably is working, and yeah, Pete did a decent job on recutting the valve seats, so we've got hopefully a reliable engine in the bike now. So let's get back to having a look at the engine and going through what I did to it. One of the things, obviously, I wanted to take the clutch out to inspect that, see why it was sticking, to inspect the clutch plates, and I thought one of the popular upgrades for the SR500 XT500s, there are companies in Europe that specialise in performance parts and upgrade parts for these motors. The engine on an SR500, one of the weak points on the original design with the XT and the SR was the way that the top end was lubricated. Basically, on the original motor, the oil pump delivers oil from the back of the engine here, and you can't see easily, but where my hand is round there, the oil would be sprayed into the back of the rocker box, if you like, for want of a better phrase there. The inlet camshaft used to get plenty of lubrication, but the exhaust camshaft was reliant on splash feed from anything that was coming over, and especially if the engine got really hot, you did find that cam lobes, cam followers suffered quite badly. So one of the modifications that was available early on, and I had this on my very first SR500 back in the 80s, was an oil feed. Originally the modification was an oil feed that fed through the rocker shaft on the exhaust valves. Later modifications give you an oil feed to both. Okay, which helps make sure that you've got more oil going in there, but it's still not ideal. And there is a company in Europe that does an upgraded oil pump for these. Basically, the vanes on the oil pump are 50% wider, which in theory gives you 50% more oil delivery. It can pump 50% more oil as it's spinning. So I fitted one of those. You have to take the clutch out to get to the oil pump, but it's fairly straightforward once you've got the clutch out, and the instructions that come with the kit, very, very comprehensive. So we fitted that, cleaned up the clutch plates. Some of them were just stuck together, I think, just with the bike being stood. Put the clutch back together. One of the other things is that the early Yamaha single motors had a problem with the push rod. This arm here is an eccentric cam at the bottom of here. As you pull the clutch lever, that pushes on the eccentric cam, which pushes the push rod. Over time, the push rod wears a groove into the eccentric cam on the bottom of this, which can cause problems with the clutch activation. Mine was starting to wear, but it still wasn't too bad. So I cleaned that up, tidied that up, put the clutch back together carefully, put that back together. The oil leak that I'd been experiencing, it turned out, again with the Yamaha singles, the early Yamaha singles, the oil's contained in the frame. You top it up there. There's a drain plug here to drain that part of the engine. Obviously there's a sump drain underneath, and then you've got a gauze filter at the bottom of the frame down tube round here. When somebody's had the frame powder coated, they hadn't cleaned the surface on where the gauze filter fits in down here, and there were traces of powder coating left on there. So I cleaned that up, and that cured the oil leak, and so far it seems to be oil tight. I've had a small test ride on it since I put it all back together, and everything seems to be running sweet, but so far no oil drips while it's been in the garage, so fingers crossed that's worked. What else have we done to it? Not a lot really, just tidied a few things up. There was one other thing. The original fuel tap that was fitted, the outlet spigot, if you like, was straight down, came down to about here. The carb spigot, top of that, was almost level with the bottom of the fuel tap spigot, which meant when you connected a fuel hose, you'd got two very tight bends, and as the fuel hose softened with fuel going through it, modern fuel, modern rubbers, it'd kink. And there were several times I've had trouble starting the bike, couldn't understand why. Turns out the fuel hose had kinked and caused a blockage so that fuel wasn't flowing. So I fitted, one of these, I guess it's a Chinese one or whatever, replica reproduction fuel taps, where the outlet comes out at the back of the fuel tap there. So we've just got a nice short hose but no tight bends, so hopefully that's going to negate any kinking, etc. So we shouldn't have any fuel flowing problems going forward. What else can I tell you? That's about it, other than giving it a little bit of a tidy up, make sure everything else is working as it should be. And so far, fingers crossed, everything seems fine. There was one I did mention that the engine had got a bit of a rattle on it, and I knew that the previous owner had changed a couple of things like the cam chain tensioner, and he claimed to have changed bearings, etc. It had got a bit of a rattle on the engine. You can hear it in the videos, although the sound reproduction on engine noise in videos can be misleading, can be deceptive. So I decided while the engine was in bits, there was a little bit of wear on the exhaust cam follower, and I wasn't 100% happy on the inlet cam follower. The engine's done 60-70,000 miles from what records I've got for it when you look at MOT records, etc. So I thought, well, I've got it in bits. I put new cam followers on, new tappet adjusters. I replaced the camshaft bearings. The cam looked okay, so I replaced the camshaft bearings, but the other thing that I replaced was the cam chain and cam chain sprockets. And when I came to change those, there was a marked difference in the ones I was taking off and the amount of play between the chain and the sprocket and the ones that I put in to replace it. They're available new, so dead easy to do. And while you've got the engine in bits, again, well worth doing. So on the initial startup and the short ride that I've done so far, the engine does sound a lot quieter. Whether it's one particular item I've changed or the combination of everything that I've changed, I'm not sure. But as long as we've got the end result and everything seems to be have quietened down, then that's the main thing. So, right then, all that remains is to go get my jacket, get my helmet and kit, get it fired up, and let's go for a ride and see how it runs. Yeah, today I'm not using the remote mic, I'm just going to go for a ride. Let me enjoy the sights and sounds. That'll turn it on, doesn't it? lights and you might be able to hear me. It's just clocked up 1,002 miles. Right then, hope you enjoyed that ride. Brilliant weather for it, and some yeah, nice interesting back roads and a few diversions, but we could have done without, but never mind. So yeah, bike seems to be running all right. I'm going to double check obviously oil levels, tappets, etc. nights. Had probably done 40-50 miles on it today, but for now, remember, I am the Barnsley biker. Please like and all that malarkey, but more than anything, enjoy, and I'll see you on the next one. See thee.